All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye coming to you again with our boxing and MMA show. That's right, you're through to the dirty casual and filthy hardcore show with my co-host Ola. Say hello to people, Ola.
Yeah, what's happening, chat room? What's happening, everybody? Um, yeah, it's good. It's good to be back on here, man. We ain't done one of this for a minute, have
Minute, it's been a minute. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's been a minute. And I've had a
we? Yeah,
few
man.
people coming to me and go, "Do you ever talk about boxing, Chig?" And I'm thinking, you must be new, all right? You must be new around these parts.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
man. We do.
we definitely talk about it. We're a bit slow in this video, really, because we should have talked about this pretty much the day after it happened. But I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I was busy straight up during this weekend.
Right. You gotta get the money. You gotta go out there and grind, get
And
paid.
I'm saying,
People think you to pay your bills, man. But boy,
ah,
you
only a
actually
pain.
have a day job. Only if.
It's only a pain to feel. But yeah. So yeah, let's get into this. Former, and I didn't think I would say that for this guy.
You
Former
diving straight into it, are we?
we can't beat around the bush. Former IBF,
Okay.
WBO,
Mm,
WBA heavyweight champion Anthony
yeah.
Joshua was stopped by Andy Ruiz. Who? I know
Andy Ruiz, man.
Andy Ruiz, the last minute drafty replacement for Miller. I tell you, Miller must be sick to his stomach. He must be like, what? I could have beaten him, and I could have been the man. I could have been the champ. I could have been a superstar.
A lot of things could have happened for Miller.
Oh man! And I'm not gonna lie to you, right? So here's my theory, straight up. Now, before I say this theory,
Mm,
I want to make it very clear: maximum respect to Andy Louise. In every Facebook group that I saw, I said this would be a more difficult fight than people were making up. People just saw a fat guy and they looked at Joshua and they just thought, well, let's be fucking real here. And if people like Butterbean and other motherfuckers ain't taught you shit, black people can fight, yo. We gas out a little bit, but we can still fight.
for
so
real.
so when people were looking at Andy Ruiz and they were like, nah, I'm like, oh no. And because I thought the thing that NJ may struggle with was the hand speed. And the hand speed was the telling thing. Having said all of that, and we'll dissect this fight a little bit more,
Hmm.
right? To me, in my mind,
Yeah.
AJ entered that ring, my man weren't all there. He looked concussed. And he had that same look. Do you remember when Max Holloway did that interview with Michael Bisping and he
Yeah.
did not look?
It didn't look right. It didn't feel right. It didn't look right.
Now, I know people will look at that and say, oh, come on, Chick. I'm just go and look at yourself. It's kind of eerie. The way he's looking at the camera and he looks because there were a lot of stories that he had some hard spars for this camp.
There was a few words out there that he got knocked the fuck out
Fuck her out,
in
yeah.
in
He
in,
got
in the
knocked the
sparring
fuck out like
session
a week
before the
ago.
fight.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
apparently he wasn't quite right. And his dad was desperate to pull him out of the fight. And Eddie Hearn basically refused because obviously
they
look
they
at
already they
what
already
has
10
happened
toes
so
in.
far.
Yeah,
You know,
they're already in it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
they're in it. So Eddie just kind of forced it upon AJ. And of course, Eddie has denied all this. AJ has denied all this. But to be perfectly honest, it ain't a good look if it was true. So I'm not surprised they denied it. The one thing that we can see is AJ's dad looks vexed. And he's directing that anger towards Eddie Hunt. I mean, you can see that in
Yeah,
the pictures. They
yeah.
tried to cover it up as much as possible. But you could see his dad. You know, Nigerian dads, don't mess with Nigerian dads, don't mess with, especially Yoruba
100%.
people. Yoruba.
Especially when it comes to their kids. Look, the thing was is going into the fight. Everybody, nobody would have. Look, when we do these shows, it don't matter who the opponent is. What
Mm,
do we always say? you give the opponent a puncher's chance. We always say that on this show.
Especially
anybody that's been following us,
yeah,
that's been watching us, would know it don't matter who the opponent is. If there's somebody in front of you, they got the same gloves on, they're in the same weight class as you, they're going to throw the same hands as you, they will get a puncher's chance from us. However, we might have a favorite, but the other guy will always get a puncher's chance.
Yeah,
and
especially heavyweight boxing.
Especially a heavyweight. So, you know, going into this fight, Andy Ruiz, we all know through the build-up, it's not a pushover. But at the same time, I don't want to say everybody was overlooking it, but the way I was looking at it was, look, this guy lost to Parker. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's the worst? This guy lost to Parker for the vacant belt. You know?
I will say this. In my view, he won that Parker fight. So I knew that was that was one of them hometown decisions which is a bunch of bullshit to me. You watch that fight, people will know what the hell I'm talking about.
Of course, there's fights that we watch like that, and you say, oh, the other guy won it, but the record books would show, say Conor McGregor, the second fight, beat Nate, but everybody say Nate beat Conor. So we'll go by the record books. So now, you know, this guy lost to Parker. We're thinking, okay, well, I mean, AJ, I wouldn't say wipe the floor with Parker, but he beat him convincingly. So, you know, put him out of the way. So you think?
And the irony is, if he boxed the same way he boxed Parker, he would have won that fight.
Exactly.
If he just got behind his jab and taken it easy, stay out of range, he would have been fine. And that was what he did for 2.5 rounds. I'm not really sure what happened. I honestly don't know what happened. For 2.5 rounds, he stayed behind his jab and was boxing and was doing what he needed to do. He looked fine. And then he got tagged at the top of the head. And maybe that triggered his concussion. Or I don't know.
And shout out to Jimmy Mack in the chat. Shout out to Jimmy Mack. He reckons AJ looked past his opponent. And when I first saw it,
I think
that was the early consensus. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
That's how I felt, that AJ looked past this guy, because throughout the whole build-up, throughout the whole interview, AJ kept talking about Wilder this. I want to have a sit-down with Wilder.
But
Wilder's going to be the next guy.
Those were the sort of questions he was getting.
Exactly. Obviously, I addressed it in the press conference afterwards. I don't know if you've seen the press conference. If you've seen anybody that hasn't seen the press conference, go and watch it in the chat. He did address it and said, listen, I wasn't looking over the guy, but if they're asking me these questions in a press conference or in an interview, what am I meant to say? You know, obviously they asked me a question, I'm answering it. I'm not. It's not because I was trying to be rude or trying to overlook Parker. He said I was very focused on him. So I don't know how to take it, but that's how I first looked at it. Like, you can't go into the weigh-ins and Ruiz is asking you, can I take photos with the belt?
That really pissed you off.
Bro, that got on my nerves. I was thinking to myself, who does that?
It was so weird. I'm not gonna lie, it was weird.
I don't know if you follow Dylan White on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
I watch my man on YouTube,
Subscribe to that channel, people.
Dylan White. He said he made a point. He said, listen, when Ruiz came over, I said, yo, let me take a picture with them belts. He said, I would have told him to bugger off. This is mine. This belt is mine. And when you get to the stage where you can earn them, you can take pictures with them. He said, but you know, when the man held them belts in the weigh-ins, it's extra motivation.
Yeah.
Extra hunger. Extra fuel. Extra. Everything's extra.
Especially these Mexicans, man. These Mexicans are strong and they're stubborn. And you can't just knock a Mexican out quick. And if you
look at Boots in the chat claiming Ruiz not talking about his countryman. Shout out Boots in the chat. He's saying Ruiz. I didn't see you saying Ruiz is your countryman, before the fight. But all of a sudden, he's got the belts now. All of a sudden, he's your countryman. But shout out to the Mexicans, Shout out to the Mexicans. Yeah, man. You know, one thing about Mexicans, you know they can throw hands. You know them, man. They built and they built to fight. You can't underestimate Mexicans can fight, man. You know what I mean? Look at Canelo. You know,
Yeah.
this is what these guys does. These guys can fight. You know, so to me, I look at it and I say, AJ, there's certain things he did wrong. It's probably gonna look at that, and in the rematch, I believe they've invoked the rematch clause. I don't know how far they've gone into it.
December, and they're trying to get a date fixed for. Obviously, Ruiz wants the match in Mexico. Let's be fucking real. That ain't gonna happen.
So round. Well, I wouldn't say round by round, but in the key rounds, what did you make of how how AJ got the whole knocking down?
Well, his best round was round.
What did you make of it?
His best round was round 2.
Right.
I would have said round 3, which was where he actually scored the knockdown. I thought the first round you could have called it either way. I thought but I anticipated AJ would lose the first round because with AJ he likes to kind of almost see what the other opponent has first and then adjust. That's
nice filling up process.
That's the way he likes fighting. So if that person's able to make it out of the first round, generally it's because he's trying to fill you out, see what you're about. Like he lost the Povetkin first round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that was only because he was trying to adjust himself. But to me, he never really got to grips with. I think the thing that impressed me the most about Ruiz, and we do need to give Ruiz credit here.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like I said, he came with it. He came with it.
The hand wasn't what surprised me. Actually, the thing that surprised me was the aggression. I thought he was wonderfully aggressive, was constantly in AJ's face, and I think that threw AJ because we're not really used to seeing people that aggressive with him. We're used to people trying to impose themselves on him and then ultimately failing.
My problem with AJ, in that fight was his movement.
Yeah,
and I believe he should have fought a lot on the outside a lot more.
Yeah,
and used his reach.
He
never. He reminded me of Ozil in that final, just marshalling Jorginho for like 15-20 minutes and then gave up. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of. Then get your ass handed to you. Yeah. That's what that performance. It reminded me of that. Like, how are you supposed to fight a certain way with this guy?
Yeah.
When you go in the octagon with DC, if you get too close to him and you allow this guy to clinch you, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. You're in all sorts of trouble. You got to fight him from the outside. And the man that knows how to do that the most is Jones.
Which funnily enough,
range.
I know we're digressing here, but I actually think that was what Stipe was doing. I think Stipe actually
until it got in the clinch.
Yeah, he had a lot of success initially. He had so much success fighting him on the outside, and then for some reason he allowed DC to just clinch him, and I thought, oh no, it's a wrap. The only thing that surprised me was I didn't expect him to be knocked out. I thought maybe once he got clinched, DC would
just grapple him up, take him down, and just wrap him up down on the ground. Yeah.
So we're digressing. Back to you're right.
So what I expected him to do was fight on the outside a lot more, but with him standing in front, there was no movement. There was lack of movement, and I don't want to sit down here and make excuses for AJ because Ruiz was perfect in them. His game plan was so perfect because once AJ wasn't moving in front of him, he's got this tall mountain, and he's like, oh, I'll just use my hands and I will chop you down to bits. Start investing in the body. He invested in the body a lot. And then once AJ throw one, he returned back with two. AJ weren't expecting it. The man throw one, you return back with two. There was a lot of 1-2s coming from Ruiz. And AJ couldn't cope with it. And I thought to myself, oh, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. But when it's all said and done, it boils down to the man that wanted it the most. Yeah. Because Dylan White did mention something. And he can tell the body language of a boxer inside the ring more than anyone else. And he's been in there with AJ. He said AJ didn't even act like he wanted to be there.
Yeah.
He just.
That's why I think he was. I think there is some validity in the fact that I think he was made. I think he was forced into that fight.
Yeah.
Because
maybe against the advice of his parents, and he start to think back to the advice of his dad, like, boy, maybe I shouldn't have took this fight. But they were so neck deep into the promotion with big baby Miller failing, and they trying to find the start. This guy wasn't even meant to be here.
yeah.
It was a stand-in.
It was a stand-in. That's
it was a stand-in. It's
he
like
was,
winning the bloody lottery.
He was
man,
a hand-picked stand-in.
It was, oh my God. It was a stand-in. And let's face it, yeah. The people the people of Mexico, this is big. This is big. This is gigantic for Mexico. Especially with Trump trying to build walls against Mexico. Now they have the world heavyweight fucking champion, IBF champion. You know what I mean? This is big. Because how's Wilder gonna want to fucking fight this guy and they're trying to build a wall against fucking Mexico? How are they gonna do that? Trump, all of the L's, blood, all of the L's.
Well, see, that's the thing. Let's talk about the impact everywhere else outside of the AJ camp.
Yeah.
Wilder must have been doing cartwheels. As soon as that fight happened, he must have been screaming to the roof, praying to the heavens, talking about till this day bullshit, right?
Bro, I think I think opposite. I think he's disappointed.
Nah,
I think he's pissed off that he wasn't
money-wise
in the ring doing that to AJ.
Nah,
he wanted to be the one to show the world that AJ can be treated like that.
But
now,
here's the thing: if Ruiz retains, I'll be honest with you. I would expect Wilder to beat Ruiz.
Yeah,
I'll be real. I know I've spoken a lot of shit about Wilder in the past. I think Wilder would dispatch with Ruiz. I also think Fury would beat Ruiz. And you know what? I'll go as far as to say this. I actually think Dylan White would beat Ruiz. I think he'll deal with him completely differently. Right? So sometimes the styles make fights. And I think those three styles, I think White might struggle initially, but then I think he'd rough him up and get into a scrap. And I think
people are likening this event to what happened with Tyson and Holyfield. Between Tyson and Holyfield, when Douglas jumped in, Douglas wasn't even meant to be there.
Yeah,
he ended up.
Douglas, you mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean. He wasn't even meant to be there. Jumped in there, ended up beating bloody Tyson. That it was a whole clusterfuck.
In a way, this is worse. Let me tell you why it's worse. Because I know people compare it to the Lennox Lewis Rahman fight. I watched that fight. I was a bit young for the Buster Douglas one, but I watched the Rahman fight. I was young, but I watched that one. Right? And in both of those circumstances, let's be real here, they were lucky punches. In both of those cases. Right? Let's just be real here. Whereas with this one, and I'm an AJ fan, but let's be fucking real here. He got his ass whooped. Ruiz stepped up from being knocked down and absolutely put it on AJ to the point where AJ was bamboozled. And some people say he quit. Some people say he didn't want to be there in the first place. I personally think that in the manner that for him to give up his belts, perhaps figuring that, I could just get a rematch or take it back to the UK, lets me know two things. This man was concussed. He was forced in there by Eddie Hearn. And I think Dylan White is right. I don't think he wanted to be in the fight. And I think once he realized he couldn't get Ruiz out of there early, which I knew he couldn't because Mexicans are tough and they're going to get knocked out in a round, right? So once he realized he couldn't get Ruiz out of there early, I think he checked out. And I think that's exactly what you saw happen, which is why I believe that in the rematch, he'll be in the UK. And I think you'll see AJ do what he should have done in the fucking first place. My question to you is, in terms of an impact, how badly do you think this has hurt his stock?
Not a lot. And
Okay.
one thing I'm gonna say as well, there's no guarantee that this fight's gonna be back in the UK. And I'll tell you why. It's
Okay.
one simple reason.
On.
AJ is no more the champion. Is the challenger. You don't get to make the demands. If the champion, you don't get to make the demands. You don't have no leverage. The champion can say, listen, I want to put my country on the map now. I want to put Mexico on the map.
You could tell you're a UFC fan and an MMA fan. What you just said is the purest way of looking at it. That's AJ decide. Because AJ, let's be fucking real. Not only will it be in the UK, I'll prepare to bet any money to anyone on this one, right? Not only will AJ be fighting in the UK for the rematch, he'll be getting the lion's share. Trust me.
It probably be like that. But I was just looking at it from my point of view. That maybe it could go this way.
That's the right way. That is absolutely the right way. Not only should it be in Mexico if Andy Ruiz wants it in Mexico, Andy Ruiz should get the lion's share.
He should get, yeah. He's the champion, but it's not the bigger name. He hasn't built the name
for long enough to know that ain't gonna happen. Not only is it gonna be in the UK, right? It will be where everything will be in AJ's favor. They will give AJ as much opportunity because they need AJ to win those belts back. Sky need him to win it back. Eddie Hearn needs him to win it back. If you noticed, right, after that fight, AJ was all like, yeah, I don't know if I want the rematch. He was acting so fucking weird.
It was. That's concussion for you, man. Concussion does all types of things to people. Concussion does a lot of things to people. Concussion is a dangerous thing.
I'm gonna die. If I have to force you in there myself, you're taking that rematch. So, and the reason for that is because Eddie has built that entire company on AJ's back.
Yeah.
For AJ to lose, it's like the worst things that can happen to
Eddie Hearn is feeling like Dana White when McGregor first lost the fight. Freaking Jesus. How am I going to handle this now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But listen, the way that I'm hoping it goes. Obviously, I'd like for the rematch to happen as soon as AJ is ready for it to go. He's probably going to need the time, a little bit of time to clear the cobwebs, see where it went wrong. I'm not going to sit down here and say I'm not AJ fan or he's still my champion. You get me? Because we didn't have many of them. Where we're from. So for him, I was expecting him to complete the set for the free champions from our neck of the woods. He didn't make it, and I'm talking about Usman, Israel, and AJ. And it would have been nice if both of them completed the set in 1 year, in the calendar year of fighting. It would have been amazing for us, but it wasn't to be. It is what it is. You go back, check where it went wrong, and hopefully try and rectify it. But Ruiz is not to be discounted. And I feel like maybe there's a little bit of sense in that concussion that AJ had. Maybe he don't even feel he can beat Ruiz in the rematch. And he just wants to wait for someone else to beat him and then go fight that person. It could be that. Who knows? But
I know what you're saying, but the only reason why I don't think
Eddie Hearn is not the man that was in there with Ruiz. He felt Ruiz's power, and he must be thinking, "How do I cope with this if I fight him again?"
For AJ to be considered, and let's be real here. For me, and this is where I slightly disagree with you. I think this has harmed him a lot because this is a hand-picked opponent, a short notice opponent, albeit it's also a short notice for AJ, to be fair. It's a completely different fighter to Miller. But I just think in the way he lost, it's not like he lost by points or anything, it was the way he lost. To me, it showed some holes in the game. And that's why maybe, and I admit it, maybe it's a little bit of bias, maybe it's a little bit of desperation on my part. Maybe I want to believe that AJ was concussed. Because the only thing that makes me think that maybe he was concussed, to be honest, is that he had the same look that Max Holloway had when Michael Bisping.
So let me remind you. Let me take you back a little bit. Let me take you back a little bit. When AJ fought what's the big bat? Vladimir.
Okay.
Right, Klitschko. When they fought him,
Klitschko.
he got wobbled.
Klitschko.
Yeah, Klitschko. That's it wobbled him. Bro, you're on a daily basis butchering names. Trust me.
Listen, I know that, but I also call people out for it too. Don't get it twisted. I am self-aware of that.
I love it. Yeah. So he wobbled him. Povetkin wobbled him. There's all these nice little fights that AJ has had up until now. At one point, Dylan White wobbled him. They all wobbled AJ. AJ got wobbled in those fights. But he came back and then won the fight. He's always gone through this adversity. And that was what I was thinking in this fight. Like, okay, the first knockdown. Yeah, that's a general thing for AJ. AJ will get back up and he'll just deal with this thing. Second knockdown, like, goddamn.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
We know AJ's a bit chilly.
You know what I mean?
He's a bit chilly. Yeah.
And then the third one is on all fours looking at the ref. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then...
Yeah. That look was there. I remember that.
He's not looking at the ref.
I actually looked at the screen.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
The man's looking at the ref with the fucking gum shield out of his mouth, like, hold on. What's going on? And then, bam, the man dropped in the fourth time. I'm like, oh my days. This is a disaster. Nobody saw this coming. But we've not addressed the big elephant in the room. Who takes a picture with Drake before you go and fight for your
I'm
belt?
with you. I am with you. That Drake cost is a real one time. It is real. You know, as soon as, for me, when I saw that, and shout out to VP, I didn't even see the donation until just now. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, my shout out VP, brethren.
Yeah, when I first saw that picture, I was like, you're playing my emotions, because if you fuck up and lose because you take this dumbass photo with Drake. Right?
And he knew it as well, talking about, I'm about to break the curse. So you know the curse is real. Because that was the caption in the fucking photo. I'm about to break the curse. The man's talking about, I'm about to break the curse. And then you took this is the biggest L of the year. Bro, I'm telling you.
It's 100% one of the biggest, alongside Arsenal, it's definitely one of the biggest L's.
Boy, this is the biggest L of the year. I don't care how.
It was a shitty
this
week.
Is ridiculous.
Sporting wise, it was a shitty week for me. I'll tell you. Let me tell you. The only good thing was that Liverpool won, and even that, don't get it twisted, I don't like Liverpool either. So,
yeah, but
so,
you look at this whole thing, and I'm like, bro, please, the next rematch, stay the fuck away from Drake. Don't be in the same country as Drake. Yeah? Stay the fuck away from Drake. Drake is a walking fucking losing curse.
I'd like to see him make a lot of changes. I'd like to see him do less of this media shit, especially when you're in camp. Just go into your cocoon.
I think with the media thing in America, he had to do it.
I get it.
Obviously, he's trying to get himself
acquainted
with Americans.
Because if he
get into that market,
if he brings it back to the UK, you won't need to do that.
Yeah.
So if he brings it back to the UK, just go into your cocoon. Don't even fuck about. Just go out there, get your belts back, get behind this fucking jab. If I was him, I'd change the trainer. I think Robert McCracken is a decent trainer at best.
They were giving him a lot of praise.
Yeah,
after
he's
this
done
fight.
very well. I think he's done very well with the Olympic squad. He obviously did really well with Carl Froch. But for me, I'd like to see him with someone like a Virgil Hunter, which is, funny enough, Amir Khan's trainer. But I actually think someone like that needs to teach AJ some damn.
Boy, I was just saying to one of I was just saying to one of my mates that please, I hope AJ don't turn into the heavyweight Amir Khan, man.
That's what I'm trying to say, but
bro, I pray don't turn into
don't get me wrong.
don't turn into the heavyweight version of Amir Khan.
I don't think that will be the case, but I think I want someone to just teach him to work on his fundamentals. AJ ain't gonna learn to be Mayweather overnight, but just improve the basic defenses. And I think
you know what Dylan White said. He said AJ has never known how to protect his left.
Yeah, I watched that video.
Did you watch that video? He said even when we were younger and fighting and that,
really interesting.
It was so insightful
because the way Dylan White shoots his mouth, you just think to yourself, oh, okay, he probably. I love Dylan White, FYI.
Yeah, I thought it was actually classy in that video.
Yeah,
it was actually classy towards AJ in that video.
Yeah, and he broke down like proper logically.
Yeah,
how he goes into every AJ fight believing he can win, because there is a fundamental flaw in AJ's defenses, that he fights like this, and that when he extends his right hand, it takes him some time to bring it back.
To wind it back.
Because of that, he's always susceptible to the left hook, which he says he never sees coming. And obviously, anyone who watched the fight saw that Ruiz was having success with that left hook all fucking night long. He's having success with it because he doesn't see it coming. And that was what Dylan White was trying to. It was like Ola says, it was a wonderful breakdown of how he saw the way Ruiz beat AJ. But that and I have this belief, and he also shares the belief. He still thinks AJ will win the rematch.
Yeah. He thinks AJ will win the rematch. He just think his mind went there this time. There's a couple of things, but he reckons if AJ gets back in there, AJ will deal with him.
But look, I must admit, he ain't ready for Wilder and Fury. No, not if you're going into fight.
I think maybe another 2-3 years for him to even get anywhere near Wilder.
Him a favor.
Wilder will murder him.
Fury won't hit him as hard. Don't get me wrong, but Fury will bamboozle him.
I think Fury's movement will be too much for AJ.
Yeah, he'll bamboozle him.
The movement will be too much for him.
And Wilder hits like a truck. So, and we've seen now with AJ that if you hit him, hopefully he ain't going to suffer. Don't get me twisted. This is the first time we've seen him be hit and he's not recovered. But it was
That's what I'm saying. If you look at all of his fights, he's always recovered from being wobbled. He's always been wobbled.
That's why I think he was concussed. No, honestly, that's why. Have you ever been hit when you've been concussed? You're fucked.
Yeah.
You are fucked.
It's like being drunk for a week, blood. Constantly. And I know what it feels like to be drunk for a whole week. Trust me. Hella bottles of rum, Bridget. Hella bottles.
Honestly, concussions, you can't get over them in a week as well. They stay with you. So normally, typically for a boxing camp, right before a big fight, you stop sparring a week before the fight, and you'll just be doing like light gym work, like footwork stuff. You won't be sparring because you don't want to risk injury. And I imagine the same thing for MMA as well. So I imagine if AJ did get knocked out in his last sparring session, which is what we hear, he ain't gonna have recovered in time for that. So
definitely not.
And for me, it was a scary sight watching him in that ring. He didn't look right, man. He didn't look right at all. So that's just my view. People are going to say that I'm excuse making, but you'll see, because I think in the rematch, AJ will beat him.
Mikey B400 in the chat actually just made a fantastic point, and he says AJ needs to develop some dirty boxing skills.
Yeah, agreed. So some veteran tactics. Let's call it what it is. Some dirty veteran tactics. Let's be honest here. Like Klitschko was the master for that shit. Like if he was in trouble, this guy will be clawing onto you, holding you, leaning on you, elbows in the eye, elbows in the face. Do whatever the fuck you need to do to stay in that fight. Stay in the fight to recover, and then put your shit on them. Don't try and fight with someone that's already beaten you up. You're only going to take more licks. You're only going to take more licks. And that was the thing that was annoying me, because when I saw him taking that punishment, I was screaming, hold the fuck on. You're bigger than him for a reason.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I see people in boxing just hug a man for no reason, just to survive, just to pass through the time.
That's what
the ref will split them up about 10 times and they'll be hugging the man.
That's what Dylan White did against Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker put it on Dylan White in that 12 round. And Dylan White held on for dear life. He was chasing him around the ring.
Just hug up the man.
Just to hold him. But that's what you're supposed to do. Not continue to fight. That's some Amir Khan type shit. I'm sorry, that is what Amir Khan would do. He try and fight instead of hold on to the opponent. And that's what I hope AJ makes some changes. Changes. Change that trainer, in my view. I don't think he will, but change that trainer. Either Jonathan Banks, or who trained Klitschko, by the way, or a Virgil Hunter. They will teach you some basic defenses. They'll teach you some veteran tactics. Just choose one of them, go with them, and then go and get your damn belts back, because this is some nonsense. Well done, you've done it twisted. So it just annoys me because I know AJ can beat him.
Hold on. You're the boxing expert here. And Chris Knight just made a statement, but it also goes into a question. Chris Knight, shout out to Chris Knight in the chat. Yeah, he says, this match has brought an excitement into boxing again. So you're the boxing expert. Okay. How wide open, and what do you see happening with this division now?
It's wide open only if Ruiz retains. So if Ruiz retains
the rematch,
it becomes a massively changed.
Do you think AJ moonwalks out of the rematch?
The whole boxing world changes. Say that again?
Do you think AJ moonwalks out of the rematch? Do you think there's a situation where AJ does not fight Ruiz for the belt?
I don't think he'll knock him out, but I think it'll be a point. He'll box him the way he should have boxed Joseph Parker. Because Joseph Parker also had fast hands. Joseph Parker also could hit reasonably hard. We saw what he did to Dylan White. And that's the way AJ should have boxed Ruiz. But he saw a fat, dumpy guy. He said it himself in the interview. He saw a fat, dumpy guy, and he just felt like he could turn up, bat him over. Forgot this motherfucker is Mexican, and Mexicans are different. They are different. You can't just turn up and bang one of them over in 2 rounds. It's like someone thinking that could bang over an African in 2 rounds. It don't happen.
I just think this is so good in the current climate for Mexico. This is so good for Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, putting them on the map the way.
And you saw what Conor McGregor said. You saw that the first time that Mexicans go rise to the ground.
Goes right back to Diaz, isn't it?
Conor was like, bro, I
know about Mexicans.
Mexicans are different. And I mean that with full respect and compliments. Believe me, they are a different breed. You can't just turn up and think, yeah, I'm going to bang one of them. Even their women could scrap. So let's be real here. Let's have it right here. So for me, I think AJ will go in there in the rematch. He'll get behind his jab. He'll be a lot cleaner, a lot sharper. Pay Andy Ruiz a lot more respect and win on points. I don't expect a knockout. I don't expect it to be a particularly entertaining fight. It'll be an intriguing fight because of what has happened now. So from a business standpoint, that fight's going to sell a hell of a lot more than it did the first time. But other than that, I think for me, AJ, if I'm him, I beat Ruiz, I fight a mandatory that I can bang over, and then I maybe challenge a Tyson Fury, leave that Wilder fight. You ain't ready for that, son.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
But yeah, Okay, so we've talked to death about boxing. So let's get stuck into UFC card. This is your territory, brother. Run through that card.
UFC 238 this Saturday. The card is super stacked. And I mean big names. Even in the prelims, you can't even fucking sleep on the prelims because sometimes if the prelim card is like shit, I tend to be doing other things on Twitter or be watching something else until the main card comes on. But these prelims, you can't really sleep on it. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the prelims. Ricardo Lamas and Calvin Carter, featherweight, crazy fighters. These two here, I couldn't really say who's gonna take it, but I like Ricardo Lamas because he very very skilled in his grappling, Muay Thai fighter as well. So you never know, but I'll lean towards him. There's Carolina and Alexa Grasso, Aljamain Sterling, Pedro Munoz. That's in the battle where Aljamain Sterling. Everybody know that's Matt Serra's baby. Like he don't play around with this guy. Matt Serra loves this guy. He corners him. He's been training him since he was a youngin. He wants to lead him to the belt. And Aljamain Sterling actually thinks, he's a couple of fights away from being the number one contender.
He got knocked out to the guy who's fighting for the title. I think my man slowed down a little bit.
Did you say him kick the man in the kick he brought? Boy, he kicked him in the head, man. The kick was mad, so puts him away. But Aljamain Sterling, I think he's a couple fights away from being number one contender. Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansaroff. That's a big fight to me.
Nina Ansaroff is the girlfriend of what's her name? The champ.
Nina Ansaroff.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes.
Yes.
So, but Tatiana Suarez is a beast. Yeah. I mean, she is.
She's pretty good looking too.
She's an assassin, man. I've never seen a female fighter that loves to put a rear naked choke.
Yeah, she loves
bro. Yeah. If she gets your back, it's over. Like it's done. It's finished.
Yeah. Tatiana's got this, really. Let's be real.
So Tai Tuivasa, Blago Ivanov, that's a heavyweight. That could go either way, but Tai Tuivasa is one of Mark Hunt's sort of prodigies, if you like. So I'm expecting. Look, he lost to he lost to what's his name? I forgot. I'll come back to when it comes back to me. Jimmy Rivera, Peter Yan, bantamweight. Now the big one, even the chat room is talking about this guy, Tony Ferguson, Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Of course, this is the fight that I think most people.
They're even talking about it in the chat.
Let's be real here.
So let's start there. Let's start there. Tony Ferguson and Donald Cerrone. Well, how do you see this going? I put you on the spot there, but boy, how do you see it panning?
I keep changing my mind because I ain't gonna lie. Papa Cowboy, as I like to call him, is undefeated.
Yeah.
And let's be real, he is ridiculously active. I don't know how this guy fought literally last month.
He's been the most active fighter this year. It's ridiculous.
He's an absolute beast. He must still have scars from the first fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he's done it. But let's be fucking real here. People like Ferguson, Khabib, and we'll touch on the Khabib fight that's been made in September.
Oh, yeah, that's been made official.
To me, even Conor, arguably, I think these guys are on a slightly different level. I think the lightweight division, for me, is my favorite division, of course. But I think that you could see there are some excellent fighters and then there are some elite fighters. I think Poirier is just crossed the elite line for me. I think how easily he beat Max up lets me know that, okay, this motherfucker's a real one, right? I think Conor, for all of the shit that I like to give him sometimes, I think is an elite fighter. You have
Conor's a damn good fighter. Don't let his mouth fool you. He's a damn good fighter. He's one of the best out there.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. He's only lost 2 fights in the UFC. He's one of the best out there.
Khabib is obviously the champion, so you have to say he's an elite fighter. And for me, I think that Ferguson is on that scale. And I believe if anyone beats Khabib, it'll be Tony Ferguson. I know people would say Justin Gaethje to me. I'm sure people in the chat room are probably going to say here. I mean, Gaethje gets whooped. I think he's
he does, but he's put his dues in for his name to be up there.
Yeah,
he's put the work in.
He's worked hard.
He's put the miles in.
He's made the corrections he needs to, and it's starting to pay off for him. But I think, in my view, I just think Ferguson takes it. It'll be a close points, 28-29 decision.
I will go with Cowboy.
Ooh,
I'm going with Cowboy.
If it makes any difference, I'm supporting him.
I'm going with Cowboy decision as well. I'm going Cowboy unanimous. No, actually, split decision. Cowboy.
Because both of these guys like to set pace in their fights.
That's why I'm going split decision, because both of them will be so active that it will take one idiot judge to go either way. But and
to be perfectly honest, on a kind of a fundamental sporting level, you have two people. One of them is more active than the other, and they're about to take part in a high octane, high active, a lot of
high intensity, man.
One of them is let's be real, is not been active and will be able to cope with that. Even though Ferguson has amazing cardio, ultimately he's not been that active. So I think you have to seriously consider Cowboy for as fight in a lot of ways. I just think that Ferguson will get the job done.
Okay,
in my view.
We'll wait till the night's over and I tweet you and say, "I told you so." I've been doing a lot of that.
We'll do that. Listen, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's close. I'm not saying it.
It's gonna be close. No, it's gonna be close. That's why I said split decision. I ain't even going as far as unanimous. Split decision is as close as you can get it. It's as close as I can say it's gonna get. But I have to pick a side, and I'll roll with the guy with the momentum. So I'll go with Donald. Then the next one, and actually, would you believe that this fight is not even...
By the way, Junior Santos is who beat Ty Tuivasa.
Thank you. JDS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he wanted... I think he wanted Joe Rogan to drink from his shoe or some shit like that. And then man, it was like, nah.
It's an Australian thing.
Nobody's drinking from your shoe, my friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're running that one.
I wouldn't even want to drink from my own shoe.
It's an Australian tradition, I think. It's something to do with how them lot roll over there, man. They pour a can of beer into the shoe and man drink it off.
Shout out to my guys. They explain that in the comments.
Shout out to the Aussies too. Shout out to the Aussies. But would you believe the Tony Ferguson and Donald Cerrone? Because to me, that fight is good enough to be a co-main, but that's not even the co-main.
Well, I suppose there's nothing on the line, is there? The other day, title fights.
Yeah, we got Shevchenko, Valentina Shevchenko, and Jessica Ai.
I love both women. I've got a soft spot for both women.
Of course you do.
I think not but no, Jessica Ai for me just seems like the ultimate tomboy cool girl that you'd love to hang out with. She's just very, very tough.
Yeah.
Very, very tough. More skilled than I think people give her credit for. I know she lost a number of fights at 135. She's too small for 135. 125 should suit her better. But she's facing someone who's different, man. If it was anyone else, she's different. Valentina isn't. She's my favorite person in MMA to watch training.
She's crazy. She's crazy. I mean, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would hire her to be my fucking bodyguard.
Yeah,
that's how fucking crazy she is, man. Trust me, man. She is something else.
She is the definition of the ultimate striker. She's amazing. Amazing. And I think Jessica Eye is going to take an ass whooping before she can even get anywhere near trying to wrestle Valentina. Valentina, honestly, is my favorite female fighter. So
I mean, I look at the way Shevchenko ragdolled Joanna the last time, man. I mean,
she's different.
She just ragdolled her for 5 rounds, man. Like the power differential is just madness. It's ridiculous, and it's so visible. So, and onto the main event.
Wait, you didn't say who you expect to win?
Huh?
You didn't say who you expect to win.
I expect the champion to retain the title.
Of course.
I expect the champion to retain.
Of course.
So
TKO as well. Let's be real here. But that ain't going 5 rounds. I'm telling you that ain't going 5 rounds.
So?
Nah.
Okay.
I love my girl, but let's be honest.
I'll go along with that.
That ain't going 5 rounds. And then the main event?
Main event, Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes.
Now, before I say my views, who do you honestly believe will win this fight?
Moraes. I don't see any other outcome.
Yeah. Right. You know what's so bad? I don't even think it's close.
I don't see any other outcome, man. Like
I think Moraes
is he's the devil, man. This guy is the devil. I mean, when you think about horrible things that the devil does to human beings, Moraes is the epitome of that in the octagon. This guy is dangerous. He's as dangerous as they come. He just wants to hurt people. He don't even like talking about it. He just wants to do it. And he's the type of champion that I think that division deserves now. That TJ is no longer the champion. You know, the downturn of Cody No Love losing, that many fights on the streak. Is on a 2-3 fight losing streak. Dominic Cruz, God knows when he's going to come back from his injuries, if he's ever going to come back. So those top 3 guys
will retire, honestly.
Exactly. So, this guy's always injured. It's the Abu Dhabi of that division.
I just don't care. I don't care. He's a fantastic commentator. Stick to that.
It's the Abu Dhabi of that division, man. So now that those top 3 guys are out, because when he's fit, when Dominic Cruz is fit, he's a fighter to contend with. But he's never fucking fit. So, he never fights. So we've got those guys out of the way. No TJ, no Dominic Cruz, no Cody No Love. So this division is wide open for someone like Moraes to just go on and dominate it for a few years. And I think it'll be very, very difficult for anyone to if once he gets the belt. Again, I caveat it. Cejudo has got a puncher's chance. I'm not gonna leave that out with what he did to TJ. So he does have a puncher's chance.
Welcome to Plainside. It's his first time he's been to the show. So we just broken down the boxing match that took place over the weekend. We're now just talking about the UFC event that's taking place over the weekend, and we're talking about the main event. We're just heading towards wrapping things up. In my view, I think this is Moraes all day.
Yeah.
I give Henry Cejudo some credit. He beat DJ when everyone thought he'd lose. He starched TJ when everyone thought he'd lose. So
TJ was on drugs at the time.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
yeah, TJ was on hardcore performance hard and drugs. It wasn't even like it was a little thing. Hardcore.
And I like TJ, man. I like TJ. I don't like to dump on him like this.
Nah, fuck that.
He gave us no choice, man.
If
he gave us no choice. You know what I mean? People that watch this show know that we fuck with TJ, man. You know what I mean? But he gave us left us with no choice, man. You know what I mean? So if we get on Jones's back for doing foolishness like that, then boy, he's got to get it as well.
Exactly.
He's got to get it. He's got to get it.
So yeah, but I've always felt with Henry Cejudo that he talks better than he fights. I think he is decent. He's Mexican. I share Mexicans. Believe me, maximum respect for the Mexicans. But I just think that for every tough Mexican, there is a tough Brazilian. And these Brazilians are skilled when it comes to MMA. And Moraes hits like something different. He is a bantamweight, but he hits like he's a middleweight. And I think for me, that lets me know that it's not going to be pretty for Henry Cejudo. I am actually going to go for a KO first round Moraes victory. Excuse me.
KO?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to get KO straight up.
I'll say TKO. The ref will like
I know people are going to point to the fact that, wait a minute, didn't you just say that Mexicans don't get beaten the first? Yeah, but MMA is different. I'm talking about boxing. People that get knocked out in the first round. In MMA, anyone can get it in the first round.
Anyone can get it. No matter where you're from.
First round when it comes to MMA.
MMA is different, man. MMA is different kettle of fish. That's why till today you have never seen Mayweather in that octagon. Like bragging he wants to jump in there. Man's been bragging about how he wants to go in the octagon.
And I always knew he would.
You don't want none of that.
I always knew that. But, all right, so quickly before we wrap things up, because it's getting quite late, and if you haven't already, please do hit that like button for us. It lets us know you liking this, and it just drives a couple more eyes onto the show that we're doing today. So please do hit that like button. Let's talk about the big announcement that happened about 2 hours before we went live. And that is finally the fight has been confirmed. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier for the proper lightweight UFC World Championship. Whew. What do you think?
Man, that's a fight that the whole world is going to tune in. Everybody's going to watch. It's a big fight. Poirier thinks, you know, funny enough, Poirier tagged Khabib into AJ losing because AJ is undefeated. So Poirier decided to tag Khabib. I said, listen, just because you're undefeated don't mean you can't get defeated for the first time. And it could take a nobody to actually get it done. So he sent that message via that boxing fight. So, but I still deep down in my heart and knowing what Khabib is capable of, I think Khabib will retain. And I say why.
Oh.
People don't feel or understand the power of Khabib until he grapples them and they can't get off him. And then they get into all sorts of panic mode. And the one person that I think might not get into the panic mode if he was in that situation, we spoke about him earlier on, is Tony Ferguson. But when Khabib grapples people, I mean, AJ, the same look AJ had is the same look that Conor McGregor had in the second round or third round after Khabib just pounded the hell out of him. And you know the way he looked up at him, and like, bro, You know, I was just fucking about in the press conference. I didn't mean any of that thing I said. You know what I mean? The way he looked up at him, like, bro, I didn't mean none of that. Why you do that for? Khabib, you don't understand it till you're in there with him and the man grabs you. And I feel Dustin Poirier is gonna feel he's gonna feel the same thing. And in the end, he's just gonna give up. The Khabib is just gonna beat him till he gives up, or till the ref pulls him off of him. So it's gonna be one of those.
I agree with Conor Hanley. I agree with Plain Sight. I think Khabib's gonna smash straight up. Khabib smash.
Anybody that think because Khabib is had a layoff, are you joking me? This man was up for how long? When they had that
Plain Sight, he still could pick a Khabib. He says he's had a long layoff, and anyone else it may affect them. But actually, I agree with what Plain Sight's saying. I think it will be Khabib.
Oh, right, yeah. I didn't read all of it. I just saw it there. Shout out to Plain Sight. I just read the full comment there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Anybody else, you say, oh, you come back rusty, but Khabib is in the mountains. He's on some ice shit. He's fighting his grizzly bear every day.
And that's the thing. If anyone thinks that Khabib is out chilling, relaxing over this last year, you clearly aren't familiar with his dad. He's probably made him train throughout that entire fighting wolves and shit.
This guy had no rest.
A suit only.
This guy's been wrestling with a whole lot of fucking wrestling from fucking Dagestan every day. You know what I mean? Like non-stop, just wrestling fucking man from Dagestan, man. Like, please, Khabib ain't been on holiday. Trust me, the man's been fucking, and Poirier is gonna feel it. He's gonna feel it when you're in there with him. Again, it's almost the same thing as Anthony Smith said about John Jones. When you're in there with the man and he's in front of you and he's looking right through you, the man's taking your soul before he's even touched you. You know what I mean? And there's only a few fighters that can do that.
Yeah, there's something to be said about someone who is a undefeated champion. I mean, obviously AJ forgot that on Saturday, but even AJ aside, when you're an undefeated champion, it's like Mayweather. People probably, when they wanted to face Mayweather, they went in there thinking, well, I'm
going to kill this guy.
Kill him. Now I'm better than him. That he ain't God out here. He ain't perfect out here. And I'm going to absolutely ruin him. And they couldn't. They just couldn't. They couldn't. They knew what he was going to do, and they still couldn't stop it. And that's the thing with Khabib. The most different I've ever seen Khabib fight was ironically against Conor, where he was actually boxing. He actually boxed him and fighted Conor a couple of times hard. Which, let's be real here, nobody called. I saw nobody call that Khabib would be able to tag Conor the way he did. Sat him down in that fourth round. Let's be real here. And to me, I just think that Poirier, even though I've been guilty in the past when doing the show of not giving him enough credit, I feel he's tailor-made for Khabib.
He's tailor-made for Khabib, yeah. 100%. Because what I hope doesn't happen is Khabib. And I always hope this for Khabib every time he's fighting somebody. Please don't do no standing foolishness with them. Don't stand in front of them and try to box them. Forget that. Do what you do best. Take him to the ground, keep him there, and just beat the hell out of them. That's what I need Khabib to do. Don't go and do all of that shit that he did with Ala Quinta. Fuck that shit. Yeah? Don't stand in there and start trying to box the man and start fucking throwing hands with him. No, fuck that. You need to fucking grapple the man, take him down, keep him down, and beat him up. And that's where Khabib is going to succeed. If he tries to stand in front of Dustin Poirier and exchange fists, then this could be over very, very quickly.
Very, very soon. Yeah, I agree. But I see that being an interesting fight. It wouldn't surprise me if it's closer than people think. Maybe Poirier nicks around. But I think this will be a unanimous points victory.
Shout out to Norpan 506 in the chat. He says he loves this show. We do this show because of guys like you. So
you.
thank you very much.
And you too, Archie.
Showing
I know
appreciation.
you're going to go back, listen to the show, and start trolling the overhyped AJ, as you put it.
Oh
But,
yeah, quickly before we go, one last thing, because we've had a legend of the sport hang their gloves.
I was going to mention it. Go on.
Legend of the sport, put his work in, put the miles in, put in. I mean, he's only, apart from this last fight that he's had, he's only been beaten by the best. No one else, you know. And I can understand why he's hanging the gloves.
Yeah,
I think it's too early, but we have a word that we use on this show on the regular, and he doesn't want to be the gatekeeper for light heavyweight division, because he's now going to be the measure of who's good enough to go and fight the champion. If you beat Gustafsson, then you're the one to go and try and take the champ. He doesn't want to be that guy. Yeah, he doesn't want to be the gatekeeper, because I still believe there's a lot of people in that division that Gustafsson can teach a lesson. You know, I believe he can beat quite a few guys in there, but the way he lost this fight, he reckons he doesn't feel like he has it in him anymore. I think he'll be back.
Okay, you think a couple of years later he'll?
I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back.
He may just need the rest. He may just need the rest because he's pretty active.
Chelsonen said something very, very important when he was addressing this, and it took us back to this fight and his fight with Jones. And he said, when Gustafsson gets taken down, he's a guy that knows how to look after himself on the ground, almost like a Tony Ferguson on the ground. Yeah. He knows how to look after himself. But in the Jones fight, when he got taken down, he didn't even move. Yeah. He just gave up.
Yeah.
And the same way with Anthony Smith. Takes him down, just give your back to the man, and it just gives up. Yeah. It's like I've seen Gustafsson get out of that situation countless times. He's sparring in real fights. He's got himself out of those situations so many times. But why couldn't he do it in these last two fights? And the records is carrying a back injury. He says he don't know. It's speculation. I'm speculating. It could be that. But if he gets his surgery, he gets his healing time, he feels good, I think he might come back again if the fight is right. So, but for now, he's hung his gloves. And shout out to the man. You know, he's a he's a fantastic fighter, very, very well-mannered fighter. You never heard of him with no scandals, no drug incidents, none of that shit. You know, he's always been a very, very pure fighter. He's one that I'm going to miss in the division. How about you?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised when he lost and then retired. Like you said, I think you've said it all really. Will go down as one of the best to never win the belt. Excellent striker. And yeah, just someone that I think most people have a lot of respect for. So Archie doesn't think he'll be back. You think he'll be back. Let's see. It'll be interesting because I think if he does come back, it'll be in around a year, I think. But let's see.
I mean, the two people that was in front of him, they went to war with this guy in their first fight. Go and look at Jones's first fight with Gustafsson. Go and look at DC's first fight with Gustafsson. It's a war. It's a fucking war. And that's what this guy is capable of doing. So I don't think that's the end for him. I hope it's not the end. I'd like to see him come back into the octagon and do his thing.
And very, very quickly, before we do wrap things up, Plainsight did mention, are we going to cover the Poirier versus Lobov fight?
We can let's do that.
We can mention it.
Let's do that after 238. Let's do that after 238.
Yeah, all right. We can do that.
We can do that. We can do that after
238. Who do you think will win? We'll talk about why in after, but who do you think will win?
I think I'll go for Lobov.
Go for Lobo.
Yeah.
I'll go for Paulie.
I think Paulie is a mouthy cunt, man. You know
He
what I
is.
mean?
He's not. I must admit, as the boxing guy, very embarrassed. Very, very embarrassed of the way Paul is. Because he looks like he just comes across as this bitter ex-wife. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, but he's a. But and the way Connor dealt with him in the sparring sessions, man. I think Lobov will
Here's
fucking
the
ruin
thing. I'll be
on
honest.
a bare knuckle thing.
I do think they did Paulie a little dirty in those sparring sessions. I do think Connor won them.
How is Paulie this pretty guy? Because I saw him the other day talking about this AJ thing. I always want to look pretty and all of that. Lobov don't care about none of that shit. And I've been looking at fucking some of Lobov's sparring. Look, he's ready for this thing. He's ready.
He's motivated though, and that's why
He's ready.
people are siding with you. They think that he will be. I'm going to answer Chris Knight's question just because he's Chris. That's the only reason I ask you, because you got a bad man first. You got a bad man first name. For me, I just think, and a lot of people have gone with you. They think that Lobov will win because he'll be motivated. He's already had a fight.
Yeah.
He knows. But
and Paulie's got beef with Connor.
Let's face it. But I think that with Paulie, he's the boxer ultimately. And although it is a different sport, it still relies on using your fists and hitting and ideally not being hit. And I think that will play to Paulie. Paulie was a decent boxer back in the day. He was decent. Not amazing, but he was a world champion and he was decent. So
you know why I'll go with Lobov? Because he's used to taking elbows, he's used to taking knees in the face, elbows to the face. So bare knuckle, it's not gonna be anything new to this guy.
Paulie, however, I've got to admit, I don't know how bare knuckle works. Do they score it on points?
Boy, they score it on points, but these guys are looking to knock the fuck out. They're trying to knock a man out. They're not trying to, you know what I mean? They're not trying to score no points. They're throwing punches for keeps. They are throwing punches for keeps. So any punch that's landing is to put you out, is to put your lights out. You know what I mean? So
last question, and that's Chris Knight's question. I'll let you answer this. What does 238 mean from UFC 238?
So 238 is the number of an event that UFC puts on, and they've been putting on all these events, especially pay-per-view events. The main pay-per-view events are the ones that has the numbers like that in front of them. So all the normal fight could be International Fight Week, Fight Night. You get all of those. But when it comes to the real pay-per-view, where titles are at stake and they got a stack load of exciting fighters on there, and it's a big pay-per-view, then you're gonna get numbers like that, like 238, 237, 236, and so on and so forth. So that's what 238 means.
There you go, Chris. I hope that answers your question.
Hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much to everyone that has watched. It's been a little fun, intimate show with all of us. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys.
If you haven't hit that like button already, just tap it for me one time, please. That will help me. It will help us. It helps the show get noticed. Plain sight, your first time listening to a show, so I'm hoping you hit that subscribe button. We do try and do a show as often as possible, but we do have a separate playlist. If you want to see all of the shows me and Ola have done, it'll be under UFC, boxing, that sort of thing. So do check us out. What was I going to say? Ola, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Black Scorpion Free. It'll be in the links below. You also find me on Instagram, the same handle. Come chat to me about combat sport on there. I don't do politics. I want to break away from Arsenal. It's been a bad season. So combat sports, that's what I'm fucking with right now. That's what my summer's gonna be all about. There's so many fights to chew up, to get my teeth into. So yeah, I'm looking forward to to a lot of the combat sport that's coming up in the summer. So yeah, if you want to talk about combat sport, I'm your guy. Come chat to man on there.
So big up to Plain Sight and Mikey, who has just said that he was a virgin to the whole fight thing, so he's enjoyed the show. So see, this is what I like.
Thank you very much.
These two have just made this show very worthwhile. So thank you, guys.
Yeah,
thank you both.
Absolutely.
What we'll do, Ola, do you want to do a show after the event? I don't know what.
We'll do one after 238 on the night of 238. When we'll get the results.
It'll be a live thing, so it's going to be early hours for UK viewers, but obviously hit us on the playback. We'll be able to comment on it.
I'm working the next morning anyway, so
you'll be up anyway.
I'll be up anyway.
We'll talk
I work on the weirdest days out there, man. It's ridiculous.
I told Ola offline he needs to change his job. So do check that out. That'll be a nice little reaction video. Those are always very, very quick, super quick, so we won't keep you for very long. And I guess me and Ola will be back after that to probably preview the Dylan White fight. So
I know
that he faces Oscar Rivas. It's a fight I'm very nervous for him about. But we'll talk about that towards next month. Maybe touch on something to do with Tyson Fury and this Tom Schwartz idiot. I don't know, maybe. But keep it locked. We'll talk more. And we'll also comment a little bit more about Wilder versus Ortiz 2, the fight that nobody asked for. But yeah, we'll talk about that fight some more as well.
That fight there has fucked up my whole year, man. I was looking for the hat trick, man.
Right.
Shout out to Andy Ruiz, the whole of Mexico, all his countrymen. I'm happy for you guys, but I'm pissed off for our guy, man. I'm pissed off for him. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is what it is. We'll take the L and we'll come back swinging.
And move on. And guys, enjoy your night. I'll be back Arsenal-wise tomorrow, so keep it locked on the channel. And that's it. So take care, people. Enjoy your evening.
Peace. Salute.